Music Business, What Is This? Is a podcast that focuses on the ever-changing music industry and presents issues and concerns that the average and above average musician has or will encounter. Hey everybody, I'm Richard Johnson.
I'm Jeremiah Hunt.
And today we're going to be talking about the music promoter.
That's right.
That's right. Everybody needs a promoter, whether you realize it or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your promoter could be social media. It could be a person. It could be a company. But today we're talking specifically about the role of a person that does promotion and how that promoter works for you, right? So first, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about just the word promoter, and then we're going to talk about music promoter because they're similar, but a bit different. So hit us with that definition of promoter.
A promoter, one who assumes the financial responsibilities of a sporting event, such as a boxing match, including contracting with the principals, renting the site, and collecting gate receipts.
Okay, that's a promoter. And you can have a promoter for, it doesn't have to be boxing. It could be sports cars. It could be food, whatever. But that's just a promoter. Now, here's the definition by Merriam-Webster Dictionary of what a music promoter is. A professional in the music industry who publicizes and promotes upcoming live performances and concerts. They typically work independently or for musicians and venues to organize events and book musicians and other performers. They may plan big events such as festivals or tours. Okay. A little bit different, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
More specific, but different.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're talking about music, we're going to discuss how they should benefit you and what they're doing so you can ask the right questions if need be. Before we get to that, when someone says promoter to you, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Venue.
Yeah. Okay, venue. You know what the first thing that comes to my mind is?
What's that?
Don King.
Don King.
You remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, pictured him with crazy hair and this guy, and I've been thinking about that for several days.
Yeah.
And why is it I think about him? Right? It may just be the era I grew up in and certain things, but it's probably because anytime I heard someone speak about the term promoter, it was Don King, right?
Yeah.
So I did a little research on why is he one of the world's most popular promoters. Basically, it came down to he was great at hyping up an event. Right. So if I had to put it in a short, right to the point term, and this goes for music too, it has to be somebody. He has to have roles and responsibilities, but they're going to hype up your event.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want someone to do that. Now, the ways they do that is going to vary. Don had some interesting strategies, some good, some not so good. But that promotion of your event is crucial to you because that energy is contagious.
Yeah.
Right? Think about it. If you have somebody who's bubbly and they walk into a room and you're having a bad day, you still may have a bad day. But after a while, you'll probably start being a little bubbly, or at least you'll start thinking that way.
Yeah.
Now, if someone else walks in that way, now you've got double that on you, right? And if people keep walking in with that, now you're the bad apple in the bunch, right? So it's contagious. So everyone wants great promotion, right? So it's important to figure out, okay, if you're at the point where you need a promotion team or someone, you have to see what have they done, and not just what have they done, how have they done it? Because you want to make sure whatever you're promoting, we're talking about music, is going to be promoted in a way that you're happy with.
Yeah.
Right. I remember doing gigs in college, and I had a friend, great drummer. He's in Annapolis, Maryland. He was an amazing promoter, right? He was like a walking billboard. He still is. I mean, talking to everybody, his bubbly spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those people you want on your gig because he's going to promote it.
Yeah.
Right? So before social media was huge, you'd be like, yo, get so-and-so on the gig. Oh, everybody knows about the gig. Great. Right. You know, so even people who didn't like the guy would show up just to hate. And I'd be like, cool. You know? But that's what you need. Nowadays, you have social media. There's several different ways to do it.
Yeah, so it's easier to promote yourself.
It is. Yeah, it's easier to promote yourself, especially when you may not have that personality of a bubbly person.
Right.
You know, one of the benefits of social media is you can have a bad day and post a friendly photo of yourself.
True.
You know, so you want to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the booking agent generally contacts the promoter. Okay. And once the promoter hears from the booking agent, they have to figure out, okay, who is this artist? So let's say it's Jeremiah Hunt. How big is his following? Oh, we've sold 38,000 CDs last month. Promoter says, okay, where were those CDs sold? They say, oh, well, they were sold in Iowa. Wow, 38,000 in Iowa. Okay. So we need to set up some gigs in Iowa or the Midwest. That's the first thing that's got to happen. So booking agent calls a promoter. They find promoter and he says, okay, well, we need a venue that can definitely hold 2,000 people. Because if he sold that much product, this is probably what's going to come out.
Right.
Is it going to be 10%, 5%? That's what they figure out. Then the promoter says, okay, I'll find the venues. They find, let's say, 4 venues. They may find one in Des Moines because you can fly straight to Des Moines. You get there. So that's the anchor city for the promoter. So they've got this anchor venue, like the big venue.
Yeah.
That's the one where they're going to sell the 2,000 tickets for $40 a piece to see you. And then they're going to have the t-shirts and then the USB drives with your music and the hats and the far jackets. And that's where they're going to make the biggest amount of sales. Right. So that's going to be able to pay for some of those flights.
Right.
The bigger ticket items.
So the anchor city is the city that you're going to mainly make the most money.
Yes, that's what's tour. Getting. Yeah, exactly. So that's what the promoter is doing. I need to find a space that accommodates that. So let's say there's 8 spaces in Des Moines, right? Okay, one is a 2,000 seater, but it's a ballroom. Do you want to play in a ballroom?
Sure.
Okay, you can do it, right? So that may be an option.
But the sound might be a little bit.
Right. The sound may be a little funky according to what you're playing.
Exactly.
Another 2,000 seat venue may be an outdoor amphitheater, right? So you have to consider that. Another one may be a staged event in back of like office building. Lots of big name companies have their own stages, right? So the promoter, their job is to find the space that promotes your music. Right. And it's fitting, right?
Right.
You don't want a space that's going to bring in a crowd of people that it doesn't accommodate your music. Right. Not just the sound, but visibly. Is this the type of space that I would play in? Because you got to realize before you even start playing, people are going to see it. Right. So they're charged with finding that. Sometimes it's more difficult when your options are limited. Sometimes it's super easy if you're in a mega city like London or New York City. There's plenty of options. Right. So then they find that. And then from there, if the booking manager says, yeah, we have to complete 4 gigs, that's the main one. Now we need 3 other. So the other gigs are usually regional cities that they can drive to. Right. So the promoter says, okay, I've got these 3 venues. We can get to one that's 4 hours north. We can get to another one that's 3 hours west of that one, and then we can go another venue, which is 5 hours south of that one, and then we can get back and make the flight so they can fly to LA. Right, so you've got the main venue, and then you've got the other 3 venues that are regional venues, right? And maybe those venues can only hold 800 people or 1,000. So they're charged to figure all this out, the promoter. And then they get their information, and they go back to the booking manager or the manager, depending on the artist. And they say, hey, I've got these spaces. This can accommodate everyone. These are the tickets. We can do this price. Security is included or it's not included. They work out all the numbers. And then generally the manager says yay or nay after they talk to the musician. Sometimes they need to talk to them. Sometimes they don't, depending on the relationship. If the numbers work, everybody's good, then we keep it rolling. If not, the promoter's got to go back and change some numbers or figure out a different venue or say, hey, this is another option. Or if the manager thinks, hey, this drive to 5 hours south is too long for our artists, their legs start to go to sleep after 4 hours in a car.
Right.
Those are the things they need to know. So that's what the promoter is doing. And they're the go-to person between the manager or the booking agent, depending on the musician, the artist, to make that venue happen.
Right.
So that's the role that they're playing. And generally in that, their experience is crucial to making it successful. I mean, because really that's a crucial visibility point to your product.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm playing at Symphony Hall in Chicago, I'm like, yeah, I'm looking good. I'm in front of the right people, right? But that's a lot different if I'm playing in a 2,000-seat garage somewhere. And it's not that it's bad, but that may not be the vision I have and that I want to give to the people.
Right.
So all that has to be super clear.
Yeah.
Up front, if possible. But once again, that all depends on the venues and, you know, what's there.
And as a promoter, I feel like you have to know people as well. You have to know a variety of people. That way you won't have just one type of, you know, fan or one type of music fan coming to see your show. You can have a variety of people that's there, and it'll, you can explore different, whatever, like, different avenues. Take your music to different places.
Yeah, that relationship is crucial to the people you have. And that's one of the reasons why you find most promoters are regional or in a certain city or a state, because they have that relationship. They know the venues.
Yeah.
Right? It's very rare you'll find a promoter from Pakistan trying to promote a venue in Nebraska.
Right.
They just don't know, and there's just the opportunity is not, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Most of the time. But you'll find it being regional because they know the venues.
Yeah.
It's faster, they can get it done. They know the seats. They know if they're removable, if they need a bigger stage, like all these type of things. After a while, you have an Excel sheet, you have a list. Okay, this one will probably know. So it's going to speed up the process for everyone.
Right.
You know, for me, I started promoting my own gigs when I was in high school. My very first, I won't say my first gig, my first big gig, I actually did at my own high school. And I was in charge of promoting it. And I actually learned a whole lot about doing that because I had no experience as a 17-year-old kid trying to fill an auditorium.
Right.
A lot of my friends at school thought it was crazy because our auditorium could seat 800 people. And I was doing a jazz concert. And they were like, yeah, right. And my mentality was like, I'm going to try. And even if I don't fill 800, let's say I get half or a little less, that's still pretty good.
Right.
You know, so me being the promoter, I had these signs I created, and the members of my band were at different high schools. So I gave them like 30 or 40 posters a piece to post at their high school and their churches and different places. So we worked together, and we went on the radio, and I went door to door, knocked on people's doors. We all did that. Like I had a meeting with them. I said, this is what we're going to do. This is going to be our messaging. And this is when I was 17, and they were like, really? We're good. Okay, we're going to do. I was like, yeah, this is what we need to do to make sure we can get the most amount of people out to the gig. But we have to be consistent, right? Because our messaging has to be clear for the promotion of the gig.
Right.
If the messaging's not clear, someone in Lexington, Massachusetts may come across or meet someone from Boxford, Massachusetts, which is a good 45 miles away, and say, that's not what we read, or that's not what we heard.
Right.
We heard it was going to be a quintet, and they said it was a trio. And, you know, so I said, we got to be clear about the marketing of it so that the promoters, which I was the promoter,
Right.
knew exactly what was going on. Fortunately, at that time, it was really all me, but I was learning the different roles.
Yeah.
And it worked out great because we got a fair amount of people and sold food and blah, 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 and did the concert. And we made some good money as high school students from that. So, you know, being a promoter, it's not an easy job. Sometimes you're going to take a loss. A lot of people don't realize that. It's like playing a door gig. A door gig can be good or can not be so good. And some people are completely against it. And I totally understand.
Right.
But I think a lot of that comes down to your marketing and your promoter or the promotion of the gig.
Yeah.
If you're a great promoter, like my friend in college, it was never an issue for him. We're doing a gig.
We're on it.
Yeah, he was a walking billboard.
Yeah.
So people were always there, showed up, and it was cool.
Yeah.
And then I had other friends that are like, I just want to go and play and get paid. And I get that too. But, you know, that deals with you, and are you that walking billboard to be able to promote it? So the promoter's job, that's in a nutshell what they're doing. They have specifics, like once they get the venue, then depending on the ticketing team, they have to let them know, okay, what are the tickets going to look like for the promotion?
Yeah.
Then you're getting the sales. They're all connected. But the promoter's job is to bridge that gap.
And that takes me back to a tour that I did last year. It's funny that you said the promoter has to be clear about, you know, the gig. I did a tour last year where we went to Europe, and the album that we were promoting, the piano player and the drummer were different. And
then on the recording?
Yeah, then on the recording.
Okay.
So we did the recording, and the band was what it was. But then when we went over
which
to
is
promote
normal.
the album,
Yeah.
the drummer and the piano player were different. But on the brochure, it's had
the people on the record.
The people on the record.
Exactly.
So we were getting promoted the wrong way. And again, that's a promotion thing.
Yep.
You know,
everything has to be clear in writing. And even then, that's not a guarantee, because it doesn't mean people are going to remember what they read. This happens to me every day when I'm dealing with people. It's like, okay, I put points in the email. Here are these 8 things, and people will respond to 2. It doesn't mean they didn't read it. It just means what's immediate to them and what's important.
Right.
But when you have a band on a tour, that promotion of who's going to be there can help or hurt you. Right? Just because they're not on the record, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes the people on the tour are better than the record.
Right.
And I'm not just talking musically. They could be better or be well known.
Right.
Right? About 2 years ago, there was this bass player traveling around, a great bass player. He had great people on the record, but the rhythm section he had playing with them live, these cats were like the top cats.
Yeah.
So when everybody saw that, they were going to the gigs.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to remember that's a crucial point. And that's where your manager and booking manager have to make sure you have to make sure they're doing their job. And that's why we talked about earlier, trusting them.
Communication.
The communication, you need to make the music, but they have to do what they have to do. Because that's happened to me before too. I've shown up and there's been a different picture of different pianists.
Right.
And I'm looking at this like, I didn't cancel. I didn't show up last minute. Nobody got sick. Well, we've known about this tour for 7 months. All the photos online, they couldn't find one that was me. Didn't ask. It's like this happens all the time. They'll just grab the first thing they do.
Yeah.
I had one situation that was so crazy when I was working in the Middle East. It was so crazy. It was hilarious. And I'm going to tell you this story and then we're going to end. So I'm running this establishment. And everybody knows my name. I'm the jazz ambassador in the city and the country. Like everybody knows me. So they promote this gig of mine that I'm on. And it was a new marketing person. And for the promotion, they created a billboard with my name on it.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody sent me a picture of the billboard. And the picture was of an 83-year-old dead veteran. Right, exactly. And this is a real story.
Wow.
All of us in the venue cracked up laughing. It was so bad. I had my name performing at the venue, website, all that was correct.
Yeah.
But the picture was a guy who was 83 years old,
He was
Caucasian.
gone.
He was dead. So the question everybody was asking, did they even look at your site, or where did they get this? And if you go to Google and you type in my name exactly, I said, let me just go in and see.
It's there.
It's there. So having said that, we're going to end on that note. Make sure that your promoter is promoting you and not someone else. All right. I'm Richard Johnson.
And I'm Jeremiah Hunt.
This is Music Business.
What is this?
We'll see you later.
Peace.
This program is partially supported by a grant from the Illinois Arts Council Agency.